This is moon footage from NASA in 1972, shortly after the Apollo moon landing. You can see lunar dust here. Now compare it with this 2023 moon footage, where the surface looks more solid. But wait a second. If the moon has no atmosphere, then why doesn't the dust just float away into space? Why does it fall back down instead? There was even a man who confronted Neil Armstrong, asking him to swear on the Bible that he really walked on the moon. Surprisingly, Armstrong refused.
You need to swear on the Bible that you walked on the moon. Will you put your left hand on the Bible and swear to God that you walked on the moon?
Gentlemen. Mr. Federal, knowing you, that's probably a fake Bible.
Really?
Such a long time?
That's not an 8-year-old's question. That's my question. I want to know, but I think I know.
And after all this, another man went missing after exploring a place strikingly similar to NASA's facilities. His disappearance remains an unsolved mystery to this day. How he managed to get inside, where it all happened, and what ultimately became of him will shock you even more. You've probably seen the footage. The American flag on the moon appears to be waving, but the moon has no air. So how could a flag flutter there? Stay with us. We'll explain exactly what's happening step by step, and then look at the bigger question. Were the Apollo moon landings real or staged? Welcome once again to RealScope. On July 20th, 1969, the world held its breath. NASA announced that 2 men had achieved the impossible, walking on the surface of the moon. Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin were the men behind that historic moment. But more than 50 years later, some still ask, did it really happen? Was it all a scripted drama? The world was moving fast. The Cold War, the space race, the struggle for power. Then came the moment that shocked humanity. America announced excited, "We did it. We landed on the moon." From the White House, President Richard Nixon made history by placing a live call to the lunar surface. Speaking to Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin, he declared it thoughtful, the most historic phone call ever made. For millions watching across the globe, it was proof that the impossible had just been achieved. At that time, the world was shocked. But today, more than 50 years later, people are still asking questions. The first image that comes to mind is the American flag placed on the moon. At first, it seems simple. Astronauts planting their nation's symbol on new ground. But in the real footage, something strange happens. The flag appears to wave. How could that be possible? The moon has no air, no wind, only a vacuum. So why does the flag seem to move? And then there's another strange detail. Watch closely. The lunar rover driving across the moon's surface. You can see the dust being kicked up by its wheels. But instead of floating away into space, the dust falls back down to the ground. That raises a question. On the moon, where there is no atmosphere and only 1/6 of Earth's gravity, how could the dust behave like this? Shouldn't it scatter differently in a vacuum? And here's another detail. If you Google it, you'll find that from the moon's surface, stars should be visible in the sky. But in the Apollo footage, the sky is completely black. No stars at all. That's something many people still call unsolved. Then look at the astronauts jumping. On Earth, the average jump height is about 0.6 meters. On the moon, with its weaker gravity, an astronaut should be able to jump almost 3 times higher, around 2.7 meters. But in the footage, their jumps don't look that different from Earth. Why is that? If there's 1/6 gravity on the moon, shouldn't it look much higher? That question still sparks debates to this day. And then comes one of the strangest parts of this story. A man who went searching for answers near a site connected to NASA, and then, mysteriously, disappeared. He believed that NASA had tested lunar landings in secret locations on Earth that looked almost identical to the moon. But after he started exploring, he was never seen again. To this day, no one knows exactly what happened to him. Was it just coincidence? Or was he silenced for discovering something too big to reveal? What's your thoughts about it? Had he disappeared by NASA? Or was it a coincidence? And here's the shocking question. If humanity really landed on the moon 56 years ago, why haven't we done it again? Back in 1969, NASA says they achieved the impossible, landing men on the moon using computers less powerful than a basic calculator. Today, in 2025, our smartphones are millions of times more advanced than anything NASA had back then. Yet despite this leap in technology, every attempt to return to the moon keeps getting delayed. First it was promised for 2020, then 2024, now moved again to 2026. So why is it taking longer with better technology? For some, the simplest answer is this: maybe they never went at all.